Well, folks, I watched the Vancouver Canucks and the Calgary Flames in the hospital. And we're not doing a hospital vlog this time around because, unbeknownst to me, I was actually allowed to show up a little bit earlier. And where last time I had to wait 9 hours for the entire process to get done, in between me checking into the emergency room, to me waiting, to me talking to somebody who took my temperature, to me waiting again, to me getting placed into a room, to me waiting again, to me talking to a nurse, to me waiting even more, to eventually doing an ultrasound, to eventually waiting even more hours and leaving the hospital 9 hours after I checked in. This time it was like 10 minutes in and out. Hey, I've got this follow-up ultrasound that I have to do to kind of check if my gonads are okay. Y'all remember what happened in the last video, right? In June, I ended up blocking a shot in ball hockey, and let's just say I wasn't wearing a cup. And the pain was very, very big that I ended up going to the ER the next day, and it ultimately resulted in that video. This time, because everything was so quick and so seemingly seamless, I actually did watch more of this Canucks and Flames game than I thought I would. I didn't miss the third period. In fact, I only missed parts of the second. I walked home from the hospital during the second period intermission. By the time I got home, it was 17 minutes left in the third, so I was like, okay, great, time to watch the Vancouver Canucks lose. And lose indeed. You know, this is going to be the last video on the YouTube channel for the year 2024, and I think, you know, there's a lot going on in my mind. I kind of want to make some sort of a roundup, new year, new me sort of video for tomorrow, but we can get to that tomorrow. For now, though, in this commentary, I wanted to talk about the Canucks because they lost 3-1 to the Calgary Flames in a game that I'm going to go out there and say is yet another one of these showcases as to how the lack of Petey and the lack of especially Hughes can ultimately hurt this team for the worse. Because this Vancouver Canucks team and the way they try to cycle in the offensive zone, how they try to create things and how they try to score, when they don't have Hughes in the lineup, it's just an absolute travesty at that blue line. Juleson, Desharnais, Myers especially, these guys do not know how to do anything in the O-zone. Just dumping the puck in, just chipping it down, backhanding it out of the reach of the forwards, and just doing whatever it is you can do to play things forward. It just doesn't work, unfortunately, with this group of guys, and we're starting to see it here too. A game like this, wherein the Canucks lose 3-1, it was 2-1 before Calgary scored the empty net. This was a game where Vancouver tried keeping things tight, and for the most part it was. Spare the first few minutes of the first period where Calgary was just absolutely dominant all over Vancouver. The Canucks, guess what? They didn't get off to a good start once more. But after Calgary made it 1-0, brilliant play there by Yakemchuk to come in on the breakaway, beautiful stop by Lankinen, but the puck gets played out in front by Sharon Govich, and it's Connor Zary who makes it 1-0. After that point, the Canucks just kind of tried to suffocate the rest of the pace of the game. Not really too much going Vancouver's way, not really too much going Calgary's way either. And this is more of the Rick Tocchet style of hockey that we were used to from last year, just without the Canucks actually having the lead. You could debate that because the Canucks have the personnel they have right now, no Petey, no Hughes, you can debate it's not really all too possible for them to just go and try to create offense off the rush, because my gosh, the amount of times guys like Juleson and Myers would just chip it in with no awareness as to what's going on. It was kinda frustrating, to be honest. Now, I didn't watch most of the second period because, as I said, I was in the hospital getting my gonads checked out, but the second period is also filled with no offense, no goals, just a bunch of shots, and both goaltenders doing what they need to do to stay out on top. The third period is where Vancouver finally strikes. It's on the power play. Beautiful setup by JT. He tosses it towards the goal, and it's tipped in front by Brock Boeser. And then we have the rest of the game. Because while it's 1-1, I was kind of thinking to myself, you know what, the Canucks finally got themselves some offense here. It's a 1-1 game in the third period, so if they're able to squeak out a win here, if they're able to just kind of weather that storm and find themselves a way to get another one, this will be a pretty triumphant win. But no, They eventually blow it, and they give up a really nice rush goal to one Nazem Kadri, assisted by Martin Pospisil and Jonathan Huberdeau. Nice setup there by the Flames to get the rush in the first place, but a nice little cross-crease play out in front, and Vinny Desharnais does not have the angle on Nazem Kadri to block the shot. It's a very easy goal there as Huberdeau comes in. He angles it towards Nazem Kadri, who has an open lane to shoot, and he scores. Beats Kevin Lankinen in tight. The Canucks then get themselves the empty netter. It's Jonathan Huberdeau. Fun fact about today, I actually did have Jonathan Huberdeau on multiple fantasy teams tonight, but I decided to scratch him. Because if you've been paying attention, there were 13 games on tap in the National Hockey League today, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? I have so many guys to choose from, so many guys to go with and guys to scratch. I'm going to scratch Huberdeau because I don't want to bet against my Vancouver guys. That's the philosophy, right? I can play Huberdeau in the next game, scratch somebody else, like, I don't know, Kiefer Sherwood or whatever. But in this game, Huberdeau gets 2 points, a goal, and an assist. And I actually did scratch Artyom Lekkinen too in one of my other leagues, and he scored as well. Not really the best decision-making in my head there, but still, that's what happens in fantasy, right? You're just kind of trying to predict the future after all. But the Vancouver Canucks gave themselves a chance to win this one. They played really tight, but again, like the game against the Kraken, they fumble it in the third. This team just does not have what it takes to hold on to leads and weather the storm against other teams' last-ditch efforts, and especially not without Hughes and Pettersson in the lineup. I know Patrick Allvin went out there and talked about the possibility of trades and everything, but as we had said in the video where I was sitting down in the room, kind of just talking to my cell phone, as we had said in that previous video, the Canucks are kind of cooked. If they don't have themselves any sort of a winning stretch here, if they're not capable of giving this fan base and this management faith in their product outside of Petey and Hughes, if they're not able to do that, which they haven't been so far, then what do you think the playoff odds are? Quinn Hughes, let's say he's out for 3 weeks, like some of the insiders were saying. How many games do the Canucks play in 3 weeks? Let's average 3 games a week, so 3, 6, 9. 9, that's 18 points on the table there, and you're going to have Quinn Hughes absent for that? Probably the only guy who knows how to break the puck up effectively, the only guy who can actually manage the offensive zone well on a consistent basis. No disrespect to Erik Brannstrom, but he doesn't do it as consistently as Quinn does. There's no way this Vancouver Canucks team is going to be able to do damage in the playoffs with this sort of a setup. And there are reasons to be optimistic. There are opportunities for this team to mesh together and eventually present the best version of themselves all together on the ice, because we haven't seen the prime Canucks roster in 24-25 just yet. At least one guy is always out, it seems. With all this in mind, the question really has to be, how far does your tolerance take you? How far are you willing to go watching this team lose before you commit to the bit? Before you say, okay, sorry, now we got to make our trade. We got to trade Petey because he's got no trade protection right now. We got to trade Miller, ask him to waive because he is not the guy we see helping this team moving forward. We got to trade Boeser because he's got that contract situation also coming up and we're not going to be competitive, so let's try to capitalize on what we have while he's still here. The question is how far your tolerance is able to go. And it's good because the Canucks' window of opportunity, I'd say, it's not necessarily like right now. I feel like their window is more so in that territory of Quinn Hughes and his contract, which expires in 2027. So they have a few more years to figure it out, but for now, 24-25 is not looking all too great. And in a game like this against Calgary, it's Dustin Wolf who comes out on top. He looked pretty good in this one. The Canucks had a few opportunities that they weren't able to bury, but then again, I feel like for the majority of this game, Calgary just did what they had to do to take control and try to get some opportunities on goal. Vancouver wasn't really doing much else in that respect, in my humble opinion, which lacked a second period to watch. But still, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Canucks losing once more to the Calgary Flames. I'm not going to say they necessarily blew it, but I will say they didn't look good. And I was able to figure that out whilst watching this gosh darn hockey team in the hospital. Now it's like 9 p.m. and I don't know what to do. I'm here at home. I thought I'd be at the hospital longer, not gonna lie. But yeah, no, I might just settle back, watch a movie or something. I don't know. I kind of finished my movie goals for this year. Well, catch y'all up with everything else after this year comes to an end. But I'll see y'all next year. We'll talk a little bit more then. For now, though, let me know your thoughts in the comments about the Canucks and the Flames. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.